guys, how are you? I hope you all had a great weekend. I want to say about Cartoon Theories, which is Edd and Eddy. And if you've seen the show, it aired back in the 90s and it ended in early 2000. So I don't want to spoil anything. If I do, I'm super sorry. But I'm going to read what I have found about the show and then give you my thoughts on the other stuff that I researched for each character. Now bear with me. Okay. We haven't always been here, but the neighborhood has, even before it was a neighborhood on Earth. This one has been here for those who would have been lost or those uncursed grounds. Here's for those who would die long before the real life even truly begin. Here's for those who never really wanted to grow up. We came from different times, we came from different lives, but one of them remains true to all of us. We live on earthly remains of the neighborhood at some point in our lives and died long before our time was supposed to come. I got this off Tumblr. We don't remember much of our lives. The last remember of our group of us has considered won't remain now. The next spirit comes, but here is what we do know. Raphael was the first to come here. Unlike most of us, he was born in a far-off land and even in the afterlife, lost in touch of his old world beginning. He lived in a neighborhood before it was developed. And his family was a farm family, and the rest of his family came to state a farm on the land. They were soon turned into a place where eventually were rest in. He died in 1903 while trembling the family animals. The bull broke loose from its pen and Raphael effectively tried to beat and tame the bull, but he was beaten and trembled to death. This is why, even though he brought many of his family livestones with him in spirit, chose not to bring the cattle along. He continues to go about the farm business on a daily basis, but most of them are happy, considered in the neighborhood, to play with other children in the neighborhood. Johnny was always the lonely child. In fact, Raphael actually became his first friend, human friend ever, when he became, after his death, his parents moved into the grounds of Raphael's farm. Not long after his death, there was no other children around, no fireworks, no taking up his time. Johnny drew his own imaginary experience when Plank was born. Together they wandered about the countryside, climbing trees, getting themselves into trouble. Sadly, that didn't last forever. A few years later, John became bedridden. Was illness in 1922. His imaginary friend Plank stood by him. I'm sorry, I get my tongue twisted. Stood beside him even when he took his last breath, and through his backyard and streets. Ed was the next to come. He was born in New York City but moved to the neighborhood in 1932. And the Great Depression was hit full swing. The neighborhood, while still different, was beginning to take from the fields of its past. Family moved in an upspring land that once belonged to Raphael's family. Always scamming, Ed took to something to bring comfort to his family, even if it cost him and his friendship others. Ed died in 1939 after one of his great plans to switch and backfired. Harry drowned her trying to cross a local river. After trying to run away from the angry kids, he held trying to. Even in afterlife, he kept chasing after the mighty dollar. Sarah and Ed came together not long after. By the late 40s, has already nearly taken its final form. As one of them development has become popular in the post of war. As a brother and sister grew up in World War II, they both had value always escaped their lives as a child in dealing with the of a working mom. Sarah became engaged in controlling as she tried to make sure that everyone around her knew that she was in charge. Attempted to copy off her viewing hustle and busted of working mother, her mom. Ed, on the other hand, went about it in a different way. He just shut it out entirely. In fact, shut it out nearly everything and everybody. An entire world. Becoming pointing to completely idiot. No, I wouldn't put that in there, but anyway. Ed chooses into becoming involved with monster movies and comic books that began to pop up after the war has ended. It wasn't too long after 1993 Ed and Sarah died in a car wreck as their mother was taking him to visit the grandparents. Now Nez came after her brother and sister, a flowery girl. Was born as a hipster, turning to in the late 60s. She was always a natural beauty in the way, always had boys and men alike. She lived the life of a wealth and would often go about flirting and playing. Thought any interesting? She died in a possible, most horrible way in the neighborhood. In 1979, a serial killer had broke into her home in the middle of the night, killed her. She was also raped, it's sad, and her whole entire family. She doesn't even receive, so she's like gave is all the past and everything that happened. So it was like, forgot about it. Moved on. It didn't take long for Ed Double D, to join the rest of the neighborhood. He was one of the child of two high-control professionals of the age, Great Depression. Considering his life as a short, becoming quite interesting and rather meeting and figured a way. So he was just to himself and doing a lot of things that his parents told him to do. But he made a 1986 a gas leak caused an explosion of his house in pieces, and he was rushed to the hospital. And following the written order of his parents long after his death, so he died. Kevin was next to join. He was born the day after Ed died. In many ways, he was Poland. Kevin came from a broken home and developed a bold personality in life. He was crying, whatever the word is, and angry, took it out on other children. His father was abusive and paid him no attention in life. It would end up being about the end of it. He stood up to his dad and he was beaten to death. He went to the hospital in 1989. His father spent the rest of his life in prison. After life, Kevin changed his personal opportunity of his life really was his father, who would shower him with gifts. However, he continued to believe even in his death. Now, Jimmy was the last one to come. He died in 2000. Does that make any sense? From an illness, his parents kept him in a locked room, and he was outside from the world. So, did he have an imaginary friend that he was just locked up and created everyone in his head? Haker sisters are different from each other. They were never on earth really sent from the child of demons, not to dismount from these human. They seem the impossibility, but stand by the other, sure as ability appear near anyone. They were sent to torment souls that are neighborhood. Tempted. That's very attached to Edd and Eddy from Parrot Reason. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Here's my thought after I read my research on the developers stuff. Now, Johnny was based off one of his neighborhood friends because he run around with the blanket in his hand. He said, how cool would this be to have this character run around with a piece of wood in his hand and call it plank. Jimmy is people in his neighborhood. Also, instead of playing with boys, playing with girls. And the Kanker sisters is people that we grew up with. So that's a lot of these characters based off his life as he was growing up. So I hope that confusion or whatever, because that really confused me. I'm going to talk about the Rugrats. How all can they be dead? Yes, all of them. So except for Angelica, she's like the one imaginary in everybody. And Tommy, he died at birth. Chucky was killed in a car accident with his mom. And the two twins, Phil and Lil, their mother had a abortion on them. And Angelica didn't know what the gender was, so she had both. So, boy, girl. Explain to me, how did deal come about? Chucky's sister came about, Kimmy, and the lady that Chucky's dad married. I mean, how did they go to the doctor and all that stuff? How could that be made all up from a little girl that was to herself, playing with her doll Cynthia and her parents, you know, we were not paying no mind to her or whatever? But I'm just saying, let me know if I'm wrong on any of these theories. If you have any theories of your own, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to get into here. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you with a brand new video. Ready.